Looking at the budget of Lagos State now, the key areas are infrastructure development. What's your take on that?
I think the Lagos State budget of renewal is very salutary. Lagos State is one of the states that is a center of excellence, and they have demonstrated that in terms of what they do. The entire budget, if you look at the ratio of recurrent expenditure to capital expenditure, you see a ratio of 45 for recurrent and 55 for capital expenditure. And if you look at the total budget, about 27.7% represent modern infrastructure, which is a major stride that the Lagos State government has taken. In terms of even budget performance, as out of December, they have done 90% of the previous year. So that is salutary, and this renewal budget will go a long way to take care of social transportation, social housing, and maybe before you go further, it's salutary that the education sector and the health sector has the biggest chunk of the allocation after infrastructure. If you look at social protection, they have done well in those areas as well.
All right, let's look at Target's budget of renewal. That of the national budget is renewed hope, you know. What do you make of this development? I also observe that some other state governors too are also copying the same thing, following the same route, you know, this renew hope thing. What does this suggest about this particular kind of budget or the direction some of the governors are heading this time around?
I would not be in a position to really talk about other state government. For Lagos State government, that is the focus. The budget of renewal stand very unique. If you look at the various sectorial analysis to various sectors, education has about 199 billion allocated to that. Health has about 184 billion. Then social protection about 50 billion. These are the core social elements that will impact on the general citizenry, particularly Lagosian. I think that, to me, is very salutary. And if you look at the various previous budget performance, Lagos has always been best in class in terms of that, because the total revenue projection is about 1.something trillion. Yes, that will serve that. And the ratio of borrowing is about 348 billion that they will borrow, both internal and external. And that is a budget that will work for the citizens. So I can't speak to other state government. They might tag their budget with all kinds of buzzwords, but what is the impact? But Lagos State in particular has been doing very well. If you look at the rail infrastructure, which they are going to improve upon, look at the social housing that they're doing in Badagry and Atekpe, this will impact meaningfully on the citizens.
All right, talking about infrastructure, there's funds. One of the key allocations will be funds allocated for the completion of the Blue Rail Line project. So, what's your take on that? The emphasis on the rail project.
They want to find a way to reduce the impact on citizens, particularly the negative part of fuel subsidy removal. To that extent, that massive investment in infrastructure will help to improve on the entire economic landscape of Lagos.
Now, let's look at the revenue projection. You know, it's about 1.8 trillion. And out of that 1.8 trillion, the projection is 1.2 trillion will come from internal sources, which is the IGR. Are you optimistic that, given the antecedent of Lagos State, this can be a reality?
In my view, I think Lagos might even surpass that projection, because they have a robust revenue collection instrument in the country. And once they are able to plug further leakages, I'm sure that they are going to achieve that revenue projection. And you remember that they subscribed to the Eurobond, which was kept as a form of savings, which was not used in the previous allocation. That again will be a booster in terms of the way the revenue streams that will come in this year will be able to deliver common good for Lagosian.
All right, there's going to be increased spending on healthcare, and 156 billion naira have been projected for primary healthcare, disease control, and medical infrastructure. Talking specifically about primary healthcare, that seems to be one aspect of healthcare that has been neglected. Now, going more into that, providing more of that, what will be the impact?
That is the social good that we're talking about. So the government that think about is people who invest massively on health, education, and other social intervention. The Lagos State government is building about 280-bed hospital around Ojo. This will improve on the throughput of health delivery in the state. So those kind of massive investment in health will help, particularly in terms of well-being of the citizen.
Of the year, they are recording like 80% or between 17 and 80%, and that of 2023, they were able to record 90% as at December. Now, if you look at the national budget, the opposite is the situation. What is Lagos State doing differently that can also be deployed to the national budget or the implementation of the national budget that can also help its level of performance so that the statistics can also improve this year?
Okay, beyond the size of the population of Lagos State, what has stood very, very, very remarkable in the governance of Lagos in the last 24 years is the human capacity in terms of the resource that they deploy in terms of human resource, and the skill set of the people that work for Lagos has always been very remarkable. So again, beyond the political patronage that Jide mentioned earlier, which has bedeviled the federal government, the government at the federal need to find a way of balancing political expediency and the need to have human capacity that can deliver value, particularly in terms of how we can show up the revenue, how we can improve on the budget performance. Then the civil servants, on the other hand, must find a way to scale up and see how best we can have the federal budget work like the Lagos State. So they should come to learn from the Lagos State government on how to do budgeting and how the budget can work for the citizen.
Talking about learning from Lagos State, now this budget prioritizes capital expenditure over recurrent expenditure. That's also the opposite of what we find in other states and even nationally. How has Lagos been able to do this?
I think when you focus more on capital expenditure, what they call CAPEX, that will be able to energize both the formal and informal sector, able to create jobs. The money works for the people because you have projects that will be delivered. In that process, the economy is reflected largely. Again, the federal government loan exposure is so high, the ratio of borrowing to the actual revenue. So the government need to look inward this year to see how they can improve on the revenue. Again, taking lessons from Lagos in terms of how those ratios work better in terms of their budget performance.
Now, looking at some of the areas that are priorities to Lagos State government, according to this budget, the issue of environmental, challenges or that has to be in Lagos is also in focus. What are some of these environmental issues, as a Lagosian, someone who has been here, what are some of the environmental issues that you think the Lagos State government should focus on or should address this year, so that it won't constitute nuisances in the environment?
They should improve on the drainage systems that occasion flooding most time. The government said it's going to invest on CNG cars in line with the federal government initiative to improve on the environment. The cities should be well planned. There are urbanization process and urban renewal processes. The government should focus on those renewal processes so that we can reduce the negative impact on the environment, particularly the ones that is occasioned by traffic jam. So we need to look at all those elements. To what extent with this improvement and the investment made for the Ministry of Environment to see how we can improve on the general well-being of Lagosians.